What is going on, everybody? It's ZachMichael here, and today we're going to be making a rock melody from scratch. If you guys do enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and check out TheZachMichael.net. Let's go ahead and get right into this. Now, I have a bunch of rock drum kits available on my site, but we're not going to be putting drums on this melody today in this video, so we're not going to worry about that. Regardless, I'm going to open up my Omnisphere presets, and we're going to be using a synthetic guitar, but it's going to sound fine. We just got to find the preset we like. Not that. I'm looking for a little more electric. So we're going to keep this. That's going to be one of our guitars, but that's not going to be like our main guitar. That'll be more of like a lead or something along those lines. So we're going to open up another Omnisphere to try to find another sound. And I think I already know one that I'm going to use that I tend to use quite a lot whenever I want an electric guitar. This Atlantic preset. 100%. So what we're going to do is pick a scale to make this in. And I'm feeling D major for this rock melody. Of course, we can always pitch it up or down later on. So let's just get started. Now, the first thing that's very important in a lot of rock melodies is something called power chords. Now, there's a lot of complex stuff we can get into with that, but just to keep it simple, the gist of it is, as far as like digital production goes, we're trying to make really full sounding chords here. Generally, power chords can be a bit more complex than that, but just to keep it simple, that's what we're gonna leave it at. So we're just gonna create some very full sounding chords by doing stuff like this. Just like that, we have our chords. Now, for rock beats, it depends how you want to do your BPM. I tend to produce a lot of my stuff in double time, so we can realistically make it whatever we want. We're going to try 148. 148 sounds good. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is randomize the velocities and also slight pan of these chords. That's just to give it a bit more realistic of a sound. And we're also going to strum it, which you can do just by clicking the wrench and then clicking strum. We're just going to listen to the strum and see if there's any strummage that I want to do. I can also manually move stuff if I want it to be a bit more strum in certain aspects. I'm quantizing the bass notes just because I don't want those to strum. So we're just going to start with this being our basic of the chord, the base of the chords here. And now we're going to open up our lead and try to create a bit of a lead melody. So first we're going to use D here because that's the top note. Now we just got to figure out a rhythm that we like kind of for this top line lead, essentially. And we're going to make this note actually not a B, we're going to make it an A because there's an A in the chord. Our top line right there. Turning off the pan for this, just velocities. So the first 4 bars is pretty simple, and the same with this one here. The lead melody is very simple, but I want to keep it open for the top line, the vocal that the artist would make, to be more complex. But the only thing we're doing here to give this 8th bar a bit of a resolve, we just add this little octave jump here, which also can tend to create a bunch of like emotion driven stuff as well, just jumping octaves as well. And in addition to that, it's just always going to sound good as long as the preset that you're using can reach notes that high, which in this case, it absolutely can. So obviously once we get the mix on this, it's going to sound a lot better, but we're going to open up another Omnisphere because I also like putting a lot of synth bass in my rock stuff. Not everybody does that, but for me, I just like how it sounds whenever there's a synth bass in sections, and it just gives me more control. We might not use this preset, but the concept is all I'm worried about. And since I don't want to take all the same notes, I'm actually going to do like a little bit of a gradual rise like this and take those notes. And then I do just have to turn the pan off on these because they are slightly panned, and then I have to raise the velocities and then pitch these up. So that's something that once we mix, it's going to sound a lot better. And then last but not least, we're going to try to find something in arcade. It could be a vocal. Honestly, just going to do a little vocal like that. Let's get started on the mix of this beat, this melody right here. So, start things first, I want to know what I want to do with the synth bass. So, first things I want to do is cut out a lot of the highs. And I want to add a fruity fast distort and just put that at like 30%. Keep that very distorted. Next is the vocal. The vocal, I already know I want to cut some of the highs and a bunch of the lows. I want to put some reverb on it. We're just going to use like the small studio preset and then just tweak this ever so slightly. And last but not least, I want to add a 1/0 pump to it at 1/2. What I actually want to do as well is try to find with a bit more. That's what that is. Alright, so here we go. We got guitar lead. I'm going to go ahead and throw a guitar rig on this. The secret to guitar rig that I've noticed is you turn the mix level down. You don't use it all the way, especially with the presets that I have because they already have amps built in. So if you don't have guitar rig, you can still use my Omnisphere guitars and they'll sound just fine already. They have the distortion. They have in the preset is already built a bunch of, you know, guitar amplification, stuff like that. But I might still want to use one of these and just throw it on a little bit. Throw on basic jazz a little bit. You can barely notice it, but it is there. Next, let's do the chords. The chords, I want to cut out the lows a bit, so where there is room for that synth bass. And then also, if we decide to add an 808 in this rock beat, who knows if we will or not, you know. But we're gonna open up Shaper Box. And we're gonna throw on this reverse at 50%. We're just gonna reverse it. Add another EQ just to bring some more highs into this. And I want to cut out this little frequency here. See that little ringing? Just want to cut that out. You can do that by that. And then I went right here. I just want to cut this a little bit. Just like that, just to make it a little more realistic sounding. Do you have to do that? Not necessarily. The average listener won't notice it, but it's just a thing I like doing. And last but not least, I want to add a chorus. The way this guitar feels a little bigger. We're just going to turn that down to like 20%. Now we're going to get started on the arrangement. And so what I'm going to do is render out each of these sections here. And then that's just so like there's no reverb bleeding into other sections or whatnot. And then what we'll do is start the arrangement of this loop. And we have a bunch of elements here we can play with. And there's actually a couple things we could do in arrangement as well if we're feeling so inclined, just to create more sections and more variation. And we might go ahead and do that just to show you guys some of the other things you can do, you know, with the loop. And you could always add these things if you sent this out to another rock producer or you're using this loop later. Like you could add a lot of these things I'm about to show you later, but we're just going to do them now. Just keep them in the loop. It'll have more options. It'll be bigger and more full. So the first thing we're going to do is here's the chords. We're going to pitch those down. So there'll be a pitch down section. Another thing we're going to do with the chords is reverse them. The only thing with reversed chords is since it reverses, but we want the chord progression to stay the same, we have to cut it up so it stays the same, because when you reverse it, it flips them essentially. So like the first chord becomes the last chord. So you just want to, you know, go ahead and chop this up and just put them in the right order. That way you have all the chords you want. And then the last thing we're going to do is with this vocal, we can make a pitch down section as well. Make that sound a bit more like a man's voice, and then we'll have a higher pitch one that sounds a little more like a woman's voice. Obviously, you know, there can be other stuff to that, but it's just to create more variation essentially. So let's get started here with the loop. So the first thing we're going to do is have just the chords and the guitar. And have that play. And that. There's going to be a lot of sections to this loop. Now we have essentially, so what we're going to do is we're just going to duplicate this over a bit so we have a lot of room. This is going to be a very long loop, so there's just going to be a lot of different options to it. So now we're basically recreating what we have here, but now with the low chords. Let's just duplicate these over. That. Now we have a section with the chords reversed. Now I could create a bunch more sections, but just for the sake of the length of the loop, we're not going to really do much more than this. If somebody wanted other sections, we're going to leave the stems at the end of the loop. So this is what you want to do. So at the end of the loop here, leave 2 spaces or something like that, and then we're just going to kind of input all the sections here, just so that way if anybody did want to use, you know, different sections of the loop, or they want to mix it slightly differently or whatever, this is just huge. It gives producers a lot more control over your loop. So you definitely want to go ahead and do this. It just gives a lot more potential for new stuff to be created. It makes your loop a lot better. It does make it a lot longer, especially when you have this many stems, but it's 100% worth it. And that's how you make a rock melody. So if you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe and check out TheZachMichael.net. And we actually have a bunch of like rock drum kits as well on my site. So if you ever do need some rock drums, we have a bunch of stuff available there, all different sounds and whatnot. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching. Head on over to ElizabethRecords.net if you'd like to support me. You can purchase VST expansion banks, drum kits, loop kits, and MIDI kits that'll level up your production there.